Alrighty, welcome back everyone. In this episode I'm going to see what I can do about cleaning up my railroad spike knife game. So I've been forging knives from railroad spikes since before I really even knew how to forge. I mean, I have a long way to go still. I just mean when I was even less competent than I am now. But when I was first getting into smithing, I saw a picture of one and I had to, you know. They're of course not the best steel for knives, but they're fun and that's about all that matters. But spike knives were really the first project that I repeated over and over and really just tried to improve my process with. And if you look at I still have my first one. One second. This is my first one. I'll get you a close-up. But yeah. So yeah, definitely improved. I think it's safe to say. But it's already been like a year since I made my last one. So I'm going to give it a go and try to make the best spike knife that I possibly can with my current skill set. Which, granted, even if I was the best smith in the world, there's only so much you can do with spike steel. The spikes I have now are about 0.03% carbon, so it's barely over the line into medium carbon steel. In case you don't know, even high carbon steel, they can be marked high carbon. They're high carbon for railroad spikes, so relative to other railroad spikes, they have more carbon. But relative to steel in general, they're still a low to medium carbon steel. So you can quench them in water to try to get them as hard as possible, but at the end of the day, they're just not going to hold an edge like a tool steel knife would. But really, you know, the point of spike knives is they're fun. So we're just going to have fun today. Alright, so there's three main areas I'd like to improve today. Area that I seem to have struggled a lot in the past has been the transition from the handle to the blade. I'd like that to be a lot smoother, and I think I can achieve that with the spring swage we made in a previous episode. I also really want to work on getting nice clean plunge lines and transitions from the bevel to the flat of the blade. I also want this vertical transition here from the bottom of the handle to the cutting edge to be a lot more sudden. It'll look better, and it'll also give us a little more blade length, and it's also kind of functional as a finger guard. So that's the plan. I'm going to light the forge so we can get started, and thanks for coming along. Alright, so it's the next day, and this is what we got. So I'm going to go ahead and lock it down in the vise here, and I'll grab the 9-inch angle grinder and we'll just get rid of the pitting and scale that built up. One thing to note, it's really easy for the tip of the spike to form a cold shut as you're working. A long time ago I decided it wasn't worth the hassle of trying to deal with that during the forging process, and I could get these knives done a lot quicker if I just ignored that and ground it out later. And that's what we're going to do today. So now we can attempt to harden it as much as we can. And while I got the forge lit, I might as well forge 2 more. Yeah, that was not a good sound. So this is the result of a symphony of negligent decisions. So I left the blade quite thin, and this batch of railroad spikes I'm not familiar with yet, so it appears that they harden a lot better than I'm used to. So what happened is mid-quench it started warping the blade, and at the last few seconds I tried to correct it and it ended up snapping. But at least the forge is already hot. We can get started on a couple more. Time for grinding again. Definitely more happy with how these corners turned out than last time. They're definitely a lot closer to 90 degrees. Not perfect, but we're getting there. I did end up forming a bit of a cold shut at the bottom of this one. I think that should mostly grind out, and it's not too structural, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. Famous last words, I know. Knock on wood. And again, the cold shuts at the tips will grind out perfectly easy. At least with my skill level, I can forge the entire thing without a cold shut there, but it requires like way more than double the amount of time just because of all the finicking. So yeah, basically my technique is to just flatten it as quick as possible and then just neaten it up into a knife blade shape and grind the tip off. So our rough grind is complete. I'm going to go ahead and light the forge, and we're going to try to normalize these twice. Hopefully that'll help with avoiding that warping issue we had. You know, as they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, and that's definitely the case right now. And assuming the quench goes well, knock on wood, we'll be all set and ready to temper. In the last spike knife video I made, I didn't even bother tempering the blades because they didn't even really get that hard that they would snap. They would bend before they did. But considering I snapped the last one in half, I think I should pull out all the stops and make sure we're doing everything we can to try to make the best knife we can out of a spike. Oh, we're waiting for the spikes to cool. Might as well make a couple more. Alright, this is where we got with this guy. These are cool to the touch. So I'm going to go ahead and do the second normalization cycle. other two. Knock on wood. So you've seen me do this on my bottle openers before, but this is the first time I've done it on one of my knives. I'm just seasoning the handle like you would a cast iron frying pan. That'll just add a little extra layer of protection against rust. Alrighty guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. Quite happy with how these guys turned out. I definitely could have done better with the bevels, but I'm very pleased with the sharpness that I was able to eke out of these things. These are the first two objects I've ever gotten to the point where I'd consider them truly razor sharp. You know, they're able to cut hairs cleanly. So that's really exciting and kind of a milestone. Just caught a fly. That mean, I think. The fly was trying to say subscribe, so you should do that. Definitely gonna keep practicing making these things off camera, see how far I can improve them. Maybe in a few weeks I'll have something fun to show you guys. But until then, make sure you listen to this fly and subscribe because I got a bunch of fun videos coming soon. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.